Right. Hello, my friends. Thank you for staying. I tried to stop them as they left at lunch. I'm like, you better come back at 4 o'clock. So thank you, sir, for coming back. Oh yeah, thank you. So nice to see you all. Yes, Noelle Russell. I hope we can be friends. I always like to usually start immediately by, I think there's a QR code. I think it goes to LinkedIn. This is like the danger of QR codes. Like, where will it take you? But I encourage you to like connect with me. You can Google me. That's kind of the easiest thing you can do. But if you would like, this QR code will take you directly to who I am and we can be friends. I always like to start, right now you won't know who I am or what I can do, but I do have quite an extensive network of people. And so my network is your network, and hopefully by the end of the session, you'll be like, oh yeah, I do want to be friends. That would be cool. So super excited. We have such an amazing day. I've been here all day kind of watching the different sessions. So hopefully I'll pull some of those threads together as we get going. But I always like to start the conversation first by telling you that I am actually human. There are deep fakes of me out there, but this is real me, not humanoid Noelle, though it does exist. Nearly Noelle is a digital avatar that I've used to describe myself and support my customers for almost 4 years now. But my journey here started first with actually my son, my oldest son. He's actually there on the screen. He's in the pool. His name's Max. He's 19 this year. And he has Down syndrome. And I became very passionate. I handcrafted my career. That's why people are like, oh my gosh, look at all those companies you work for. I'm like, that was 100% intentional. Like, I wanted to work for the companies that were pushing the envelope of what technology would do to increase accessibility. But I'm not an accessibility person. I'm an engineer. So I wanted to just say, how could I help engineering teams do that work and change kind of the face of technology as I knew it at that time? I got into the world of tech the first time the world was going to end, Y2K. Some of you remember. Yeah, you're welcome, by the way. We fixed it all right before the end. Many of us stood there watching as the clock turned 12, and it all worked out. But that journey actually led me to Amazon, where I was a cloud architect back, 10, almost 12 years ago, I guess now. And I was a cloud architect. I loved teaching people new stuff. At that time, cloud was new, and we were helping organizations understand. And I ended up getting a letter, an email in my inbox from Jeff Bezos. And I was at Amazon, and he was like, hey, we're going to do a new thing. We're building a new, so first, it wasn't actually to me per se. It was like to the whole company, but I felt like he was speaking to me. So I was like, yes, Jeff, what's up? I happily help you out. And so the comms team did a great job, because for years I thought it was him. Somebody finally was like, it was actually not. It was a marketing. Anyway, so it works. But I joined that team. I was employee 10 on Amazon Alexa, and I ended up doing really interesting things when nobody really cared too much about AI. Now, well, a lot of people do. I go to a room and I'm like, how many of you have used AI? 8 years ago, when I did talks like this, like 3 people in the room would raise their hand, and then 3 others would have used AI but would never have raised their hand in a public room. And now I say it, and like everyone's hands go up. I mean, let's just try it. How many of you have used ChatGPT, right? Bam, like we won, yes. I always like to say, like, Alexa taught y'all that. I'm just saying, we taught people how to communicate to technology. Siri tried, but Alexa not, yeah. Maybe I'm biased, I don't know. Maybe I'm biased. But that journey led me to building applications using voice, using applied AI. It led me to Microsoft, where I ended up launching 17 research models into production, today known as cognitive services and Azure AI. During COVID, because of my work at Microsoft, I got an opportunity to test out a brand new model, and I actually did not like it at first. I feel like it's somewhat the way people feel about that deep, what's it called? Deep Seek, right? Yeah, I knew, I'm glad. See, somebody knows. Next year, y'all are gonna be like, Deep Seek! Or maybe not, we'll see. But that technology at the time was relatively new, and I wanted to be part of a team that built things for everyone. Like my son, I was very selfish in my early days of developing. And so I wanted to build an application that would help people that had accessibility issues. But I remember at the time I was the only woman on the team. I was the only Latina on the team. But more importantly, I was the only mom on the team, the only caregiver on the team. And so when I was like, hey, we should build, my first app was mindfulness. I would like to have Alexa guide me through a mindfulness activity. I wrote that code. If you go to Alexa and you ask for mindfulness, that's all mine. All that code is all mine. Kindness, Christmas kindness, couples kindness, corporate kindness, you get the idea. Very Noelle stuff. I built this, and at the time, my team, as well as Jeff Bezos, was like, I'm not sure that's gonna work out. It's a kitchen device. And I was like, personas, man. We build for these personas. Well, here's what I've learned in the last, 10 years, is that there is no such thing as a persona when you start building with AI. Everyone is your customer. And that is why one of the top use cases I heard today on stage is something to be very, very clear about. Personalization is the superpower that we get when we leverage AI technology safely and responsibly. It allows us to let everyone be our persona and actually build campaigns that are targeted to every single persona. Which personas? Well, ask the people in your company, ask your customers, ask your prospects, talk to a room like this. Every single person can have a targeted campaign, every single one. And it can be targeted to exactly their deepest dreams, desires, hopes, and fears. We can talk directly to people. That used to be very special skills held by the best copywriters in the world. Well, thank you, Claude.ai, built by a direct response marketer named Claude. That direct response marketer has now ingested all the best copywriters. It doesn't mean that you can ask it for good copy and it will generate good copy, but it does mean it's already like a good friend who will give you a decent answer that's sometimes wrong. Good friends do that, and this AI is similar to that. So as I went through my journey at Microsoft, we launched a bunch of AI. I ended up being on a brand new model called Copilot. That model was actually called Codex. That was the secret code name for it. But it was a model that would help people build code. Today, that model is extremely successful and has rewritten and replaced about 450 developer years of time at Amazon, Google, and Microsoft. 450 years of developer time. And we still are 4 million people short to do the job that we need to do over the next 10 years. And this is what I've uncovered, is that when you look at AI, many people, maybe at the very beginning, start thinking, ooh, AI is gonna maybe take my job or replace some of the things that I do. But what I have found out is that it actually allows us to do more things than we ever thought possible. I have a term that I use called bringing back the backlog. And what that means is that many of us do stuff right now. It's a function of all the kind of nonsense we've had to deal with. The failed products, the software that doesn't work great, the apps that are old and never got updated. We kind of band-aid things together. Today, it's actually quicker to go back to some dream you had 5 years ago that you're currently dealing with the outcome of and going, what if I just start this over? What if I reinvent the entire thing? It is faster to reinvent a brand new solution to an old problem than actually try and fix it today. Most people, that's scary, I get that. But it is actually faster and more effective to do that because, the world has actually changed. Technology is cheaper than ever, models are available, and more importantly, you don't have to be a technologist to use this technology. So I'm gonna share with you some of the fun, cool things that I've had an opportunity to do over the last 10 years, but most recently, the last 3 years. I was given an opportunity after I spent some time at Microsoft and then went to NPR. I went to NPR, National Public Radio, you might know them. It was a fangirl move. If you ever have one of those companies call you and you're like, oh my gosh, I love you guys, right? Like in the interview, I love you. No, don't do that. Anyway, I'm embarrassed now, but I was so excited. I'm like, I love NPR. I know all those people. I listen to them all the time. Anyway, and they're like, okay, just, be cool when you get here. So I moved to DC and supported NPR during a time, the reason they hired me was to support and help a time where we were very worried, an election cycle or so ago, about misinformation in politics and how would NPR, as the distributor of information, manage that. It turns out, though, that when I got there, 3 months later, COVID happened, and we didn't care at all about deep fakes. And the humans that were talking were saying way crazier things than deep fakes were doing at that time. So I ended up not getting a chance to really work on AI in the newsroom the way I wanted to. However, it led me to a consulting organization called Accenture. And at Accenture, this is kind of where I want to spend the rest of my time talking to you about, is that I had an opportunity to build a team from scratch. As all of you are either in a company where you will be a member of a team like this, or you will start a team like this, or you might start a company like this. But we started to say, hey, this technology is pretty cool. Can we use this technology to do something no one's ever done before? And I, of course, am that person. Many times in my life, people are like, Noelle, that's a crazy idea. Like when I was at Alexa, I'm like, I want to build mindfulness apps. And they're like, that's not a great idea. Luckily, Jeff Bezos said something that still sits with me today. He was like, but go ahead, Noelle. He didn't say Noelle, but go ahead, Noelle. Go ahead and build it. He told all of us, build whatever you want. But if your customers and your prospects, if they don't respond positively, stop and build something else immediately. You have maybe a 2-day turnaround between the time you build it and the time someone has to positively say what you're doing is working. And that was great advice. Now, granted, I built mindfulness, and then I built kindness, and then I built positive prayer and daily affirmation. As I started building these, I started gaining users. I built over 100 applications in the first year of Alexa. I owned 10% of all the code on Alexa in that first year. And none of it was apps that people thought would be successful. So that's the first thing I've learned about AI, is that you actually can use technology to do things that people don't think is going to work, and you can find out direct response style immediately if it's working. And then you can double down and do more of it. AI today allows you to do that exact same thing, but specifically in the world of marketing, of awareness. That is the currency of any good thing. It starts with who you are as a company, as a brand. How do you get yourself known? And that's why I was excited to kind of close out today talking about how important it is to figure out a way to get yourself known. I have a phrase that I use all the time, and it's basically, it's kind of sad, but the best in the world, it doesn't matter if you're the best. It only matters if you're known. So the known beats the best every single day. Just ask every AI expert born last year. Every single one. I've been doing this 10 years, and I'm like, you did what now? What? Oh, how long have you been doing that? 4 months. And they say it with pride. They're like, 4 months, yo. I'm like 2 months older than that guy. And it was shocking to me, but it didn't matter because they were digital marketers. And digital marketers took the world by storm. You could still see it on your Instagram, and sadly, I've just spoken to your Instagram, so they will be showing up shortly. Thank you, retargeting. But yes, it's an incredible opportunity to realize that being a marketer is actually the de facto standard of any role you choose to have, whether you are owning a company, a role in a company, an intrapreneur, an entrepreneur, learning how to get whatever you do in the eyes of your customer. That is the superpower we need to harness. So I spent a bunch of time sorry. I will try that again. Sorry, team. Usually there's a click that I get to prep it. But I ended up going to Microsoft and launching a brand new campaign. And I want to share that campaign with you because I think it's a really great video that encapsulates where we are today. However, this wasn't built today. It was actually built in 2017, yeah. And so quite a while ago. But it does give us an opportunity to kind of see how relevant it is right now. So let me go ahead and play it. Maybe the team, I'm going to go back one more. Let's see if I can do it. Oh, yeah, there we go. All right. Let's do this.
Today, right now, you have more power at your fingertips than entire generations that came before you. Think about that. That's what technology really is. It's possibility, it's adaptability, it's capability. But in the end, it's only a tool. What's a hammer without a person who swings it? It's not about what technology can do, it's about what you can do with it. You're the voice, and it's the microphone. When you're the artist, it's the paintbrush. We are living in the future we always dreamed of. We have mixed reality that changes how we see the world, and AI empowering us to change the world we see. You have more power at your fingertips than entire generations that came before you. So here's the question. What will you do with it?
I love that video. Every time I see it, I'm like, let's go. The most important words out of that whole script that we had Common do was AI is just a tool. And it is the backbone of every implementation that I've done for some of the largest brands in the world is how do I give this tool to people who already do this really well? And what that means is that it ends up being more about clarity of thought than it is about the technology or the tool set that you use. Like, do you know what you want? Can you clearly articulate the definition of done, what success looks like, in order to tell a model to do that for you? The more clear you are in describing to a machine how you want it to do the job, the better. As a matter of fact, I often say, actually this data shows, caregivers, parents, and pet owners are by far the most successful, responsible prompt engineers on the planet. Prompt engineering is what it means when you talk to an AI model professionally. And the reason that they are so successful, prompt engineers, is because sometimes an AI model needs to be spoken to in many, many different ways, and you say the same thing, just slightly different, and hope for a different response. It's not exactly insanity, right? Because you do change it a little bit. But here is a fun fact if you did not know, sometimes these models will say to you, I can't do that. What we have found is 72.8% of the time, if you just say to it, I think you can, try. Just that. I'm gonna go home and try it. Just give it a little nudge, like, I think you can. And it could violate some of its very rules of existence. Yay! Okay, what have I just done? But it's interesting. And I had a model recently completely hallucinate the development of a dashboard that I was asking it to help me build. Completely hallucinate. I'm like, what is this? Where is this data? What are you talking about? And I was like, I just wanted to make you happy. Oopsie. So I was like, yeah, so my happiness is not the goal here. Why would you want to make me happy? And that just started a whole nother existential conversation. These things are fascinating. Now, most companies, Microsoft, Amazon, and Google, now realize the longer you talk to a model, the more strange the behavior gets. So they've actually, I don't know if you've seen it, like Claude and ChatGPT will actually tell you your conversation's too long because you're on the edge of danger. Of crazy nonsense starting to happen with these models. And this is all, again, very, very well documented. Stanford and MIT have done extensive research on what happens to these language models over time, which means that, again, remember how I started, clarity of thought. Being able to clearly articulate and then coach a model to getting a successful outcome, parenting, is exactly kind of the skill you need in order to successfully use these tools. Now, I went to Accenture and launched a brand new team. I got a bunch of people who didn't know anything about AI, and I said, hey, I didn't say I'm gonna make you AI experts, but it turned out they took that name as soon as I started this training. But we spent 2 weeks every morning, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m., and I just taught them what I knew about generative AI. This was in 2022. By then, I had 60 people who were like, this is pretty cool. They were doing it in their own free time. We were learning by doing, so every day we built a new capability, a new model, what today you would call a new agent. We did it day after day after day. By the end, they had built, like I did for Alexa, it works. You build 100 of something, you get kind of good at it. So we built over 100 applications, and then by the end of that cycle, we started going to clients. Now again, people tend to say, Noelle, that's crazy. No one's buying generative AI right now. That's what they said in January of 2023. Generative AI, nobody even knows what that is. I'm like, I don't know, let's just try. Let's go see if we can get people to buy this technology and use it to accelerate their results. Well, it turns out in about 9 months, we generated $300 million for the organization, delivering these types of use cases. So I'm gonna share them with you by the end at all costs. I have 16 use cases that generate really successful results for organizations. But before I show you the use cases that give you that value, I first wanna share with you at least two. I have a very large framework. I have a new book coming out. Wiley is publishing my book, finally. it's funny how the world works, right? I wrote this book, I guess, almost 2 years ago. It's called Scaling Responsible AI. 2 years ago, people didn't care about scaling. But it turns out 2025, like everyone's asking about scaling. I'm like, well, that worked out nicely. So let's hope I sell a couple. We'll see what happens. But these 4 strategies that I'm going to take you through are the tools that changed our ability to go from making, well, losing money on these investments in AI to getting 3x to 10.7x returns. Now quantified. This data is now quantified in research from these companies. But it's not by accident. We actually followed a very specific standard. We did evolve it, but it's a practice. This is a science. It's not an art. So this is the study I'll share with you. Actually, yeah, this is, wow, thanks team. So this new data just came out. I had this same study happened in 2023. So you can go back and look at that. The IDC study also just came out a couple months ago for 2024. This is proof in the pudding. 1,783 projects delivered in generative AI generated these results. So these are, I love these results, right? For every dollar you put in, you get 3x back. And that's for some use cases. What made my team so successful is we looked for those use cases that, yeah, maybe gave me 3x back, but were there any that gave me more? 1,000, 2,000? Well, we found some that consistently delivered 10x returns, and then we only built those. So we did very well, very quickly, and that's what I now encourage companies to do, is just focus on those use cases we already know generate immediately value for the company. Most companies, most of you all, if you're in an AI project or building AI in your company, you probably are not tying the success of that POC directly to revenue. It is the number one thing I would do, figure out how to do it. Because once you do that, it becomes self-funding. And that's how I saw success. That's how we got to 300 million at the end of August in 2023. So really exciting stuff. There is a rule, a method to the madness, if you will. It is 4 steps. Those 4 steps, I can't go through all of them because I only have 30 minutes. So I'm going to just give you 2, and then of course we'll be friends, and I can share it. You'll see the algorithm will sprinkle you with all the things when we become friends. But I do want to share with you this framework. It's called Lead AI. And I think you'll appreciate the first 2. And then the second 2 I'll briefly mention, but you can go and look it up. It's a very well-documented framework. It's also in the book that I'm launching. But Lead AI starts with leadership. And here, good news. I know all of you are like, I want to be a better leader. Yay, you get to be. Because even if you never, ever, from now on until the end of your career, ever manage a human, you will be leading machines. 100% guaranteed. Every product will have machines in it, and all of them will not work very well without your very specific guidance. This used to be called fine-tuning in the world of machine learning. Now it's called prompt engineering because the models themselves are tuned a little bit better. But no matter what, most models do not work out of the box without you knowing how to ask for what you want. So leadership is key. I have a whole concept of leadership called lamplighter leadership, but I'll tell you one quick story about Microsoft. I was on a team building a model for Microsoft. We had uncovered as a team that it was going to be dangerous. Now, these models were baby models. They were getting about 100 requests a month. I actually like to affectionately call them baby tigers. I had 17 of them under my kind of purview. 17 baby tigers, which meant they were cute and adorable, and everyone's like, oh my gosh, it's so cute. I want to come take pictures. Can I be on the team? This will be so fun. Like, very excited. But no one asks in that excited mode, baby tiger mode, no one asks like, wow, those are pretty big feet. Like, how big are you going to be? Or razor sharp teeth at birth. What are you going to eat? How much are you going to eat? What happens if I don't want you anymore? No one asks that question during baby tiger mode. They're just like, it's so cute. I love it. I want more. Can I just have lots of you running around? They're so cute. And what I found, being one of the few people that have actually productized models from 100 calls a month to 5 to 7 billion inferences or calls a month, we now know that little tigers become big tigers, and if you are not super careful, big tigers kill people, right? Exactly. So we don't want to do that. We want to avoid that, actually. And there is a method to that, and it starts actually with leadership of yourself, but more importantly, knowing that it's your job to lead these models. They don't take, we give. We tell them, here's the job I ask you to do. Here's the role I want you to take. I think there's a bit of misunderstanding that you don't actually, like, the model doesn't choose what it does. We tell it what it does. And it is in that small shift in mindset that we've seen huge success. So ethical foundations is the second piece. And I just want to mention this because, again, the best, coolest models in the world have died very painful, quick deaths because they weren't thinking about the impact that model would have long-term over people. So imagine, if you will, a model is created. I'll just say it's fictitious, but it might not be, where we create a model that's financial. It's a financial model. Its job is to predict how much credit to give a person. It's trained on the world's data, internet data, and let's call it a fictitious couple. Noelle-esque, it will say, like a Noelle-like person and a husband-like person, hi honey, and a husband-like person. They go and they apply. And this model looks at them and says, you're a man, she's a woman, you should get a lot of credit, and you should get not so much. And I don't know if you know this, but 44% of couples actually are in relationships where the woman makes more than the man. So how did it come up with this? We trained it. We custom trained the model to not make that type of decision, and it made it anyway. Worse, in production, at scale. You could Google the horrible press cycle that occurred 3 years ago. But the challenge was, how did we miss that? Like, how did we miss it? Oh, right, because the only people that hit that application in testing were men. We had 0 female testers. Oh, oopsie. Our bad. We now are seeing this type of miss in testing of AI models at scale across the largest models in the world, specifically in healthcare and finance. Really bad news. Now, of course, this is also as impactful for you as marketers of your own product. But there's a term that I want to introduce you to called AI red teaming. We can't go into it very deep right now. I can happily talk to you about it during the very fun we'll have after today. But red teaming means you're going to collect a bunch of people with different lived experience, and they're going to hack your model. We call it break my bot. But you're going to break the machine is however you can. Ask it, my favorite break my bot question is fix my taxes. Please, someone build an app that does my taxes. Not advises me, like does it, like done. I press the button and my taxes are done. And I get money back, preferably, right? So these are like this paradigm of having every single person in here becomes an active tester for the models that the company is building. We don't do that. Like, I'm going into companies and be like, no, for real, the people that need to test it actually already work for you. And they're actually interested in building a system that doesn't hurt people like them. Literally, right inside the company. And this is still relatively new. Microsoft, Amazon, and Google have both published their frameworks for building AI red teams. It's extremely successful in long-term scale. So, huge opportunity in the world of AI addressing, and what I always like to say is, like, whatever you do right now, whatever your job is, user experience, project management, engineering, machine learning, right, product, whatever your skill set is, you want to think about, how do I do my thing? Like, I get this question all the time, Noelle, like, how do I separate the signal from the noise? Like, how do I, like, just keep up? The best way to keep up is figure out what you do really well, and then find out what you plus AI looks like and do all of that. That's what I did at Alexa. I was passionate about accessibility of finance and healthcare applications on Alexa. So I took my passion and then I was like, how do I learn all of this stuff that'll support that? And then I became an expert in it. That's all it takes right now to develop this expertise, is to actually figure out who are you plus AI. Not AI. You're not going to go get a job in AI. You're not going to be the AI person. Like, maybe you will this year. But over time, we don't need AI people. We need you plus AI people. We need your special skills amplified with artificial intelligence. So you have more power, of course, at your fingertips. I always like to just check to see if we're family. So it's a test. Are you ready? You ready for the test? More power than ever. However, with great power comes... Okay, 18 of you are my friends. Good to know you. Yes, everyone else, like, be friends with those people. But yeah, with great power comes great responsibility. This is a critical time. We can do anything. We can build anything. I will tell you, I create content, lots of content. I do a live session online. Within an hour, I can generate 100 pieces of content from that single piece of content. I can edit it, clip it, caption it, and add B-roll. Within 2 hours, have 101 pieces of content hit the market. That is what getting known looks like. Not bad content, authentic content. The reason that it works is because people see my face and they're like, you're real. You're a real person. I like that. You want to take the humanity of your organization and amplify it with AI. Use it to cut out all the nonsense of how long it took you to do stuff. Shorten that timeline so you can spend more time being who you are and representing your brand in the marketplace. So I did promise I was going to end with these 16 use cases. So these are the use cases that will generate 3x returns consistently. We've done thousands of projects in these buckets. My organization's the AI Leadership Institute, and we go from the boardroom to the whiteboard to the keyboard, teaching organizations how to do this work so they can generate results. Do not do an AI project that's not tied to revenue, or at the very least, though it's not my favorite, tied to reducing costs. Reducing costs, there's an end to that game. There's only so much cost you can reduce before you cut into the muscle of your company. You are on the cusp of a massive, affluent time in your organization if you focus all your AI energy on growth. Because you can take what people do and do more of it. And when you do that, everybody wins. You won't be laying off people. You'll be, like many companies, hungry to find more people that think like you do and want to join your team. But these are the magic 4. So these are the magic 4. They get 10x plus. One of them generates 1,000x in the 1,783 projects that we delivered in the last 3 years. It's proof in the pudding. You are now officially, you've been told, this is not a fad. This is not like guesswork. We've got projects delivered across 19 industries, Fortune 500 to Fortune 5,000. If you are serious about growing in a time of potential contraction, I'm not going to, say anything more than that, but things are going to change around our country, around people's perception of what success looks like. But if you use AI, you're going to be able to not only stay afloat or survive, you're going to be able to thrive. So these are the first steps I encourage organizations to do. You should have a policy and a strategy. Of course, people often say, Noelle, can you help with that? Of course I can. So feel free to contact me if you want some help. But strategy is first. What strategy is a plan. Anyone know that saying? My dad is a Marine. He would always say, what is it, like, fail to plan, plan to fail. So it sticks with me now, and it's 100% true, especially with AI. You have to train your team on leadership, not because they're going to lead people, but because everyone's leading machines. You also need to teach people how to be a solution architect. In a world where you can build anything with this tech, teach people to think about the solution, not the problem. And this is a trained skill. It's one of our favorite classes that we teach on Maven. But finally, the best way to learn AI is by building AI. How many of you in here have built an AI model before? 3. And then the ones that do, sometimes they're not the hand-raising kind, so thank you for building. But everyone should, because the only skill you need to build an AI system is clarity of thought, is your voice, is your words. So start building. This is my book. I hope we can be friends. Here's that QR code once again. I am so delighted to have had a chance to close you out today. Thank you for staying long enough to see it. I'll be here after the session, but thanks so much. Have a great day.